Intimacy of touch with Moon in Libra, when you want to be held but can't bear the weight of uneven love. With the Moon in Libra, touch is a language of balance. You long for harmony in every gesture, for a hand that matches yours in rhythm, in intent, in grace. Touch for you must feel mutual. Not dominant, not desperate, just equal. But the moment touch becomes lopsided. Too much from one side, not enough from the other. Your Libra Moon freezes. Not because it doesn't crave closeness, but because imbalance in intimacy feels like betrayal to your inner scales. You feel safest when physical closeness is attuned to emotional symmetry. A hug that isn't emotionally matched feels like noise. A kiss given without the mood being right feels hollow. You don't just want to be touched, you want the touch to be fair, reciprocated, negotiated by feeling. If your partner leans in too far, too fast, your instinct might be to lean away. Not out of rejection, but to restore equilibrium. That's how intimacy feels safe for Libra, when it dances in sync. Your need for refinement shows up in the physical space around you. Messy touch, grabbing, groping, pushing, isn't just unpleasant, it's almost offensive to your emotional body. You are ruled by Venus, after all. You want touch that is beautiful, intentional, elegant. A hand on your face instead of a tug at your wrist. A slow brushing of your hair instead of a careless pat. You respond to effort, to beauty, to touch that respects the mood it's entering. But sometimes, your pursuit of emotional symmetry gets in the way of letting yourself be fully held. You measure, you adjust, you compensate. If they give 60%, you give 40% to restore balance. And this intellectual monitoring of emotional exchange can rob you of the very intimacy you desire. Because true touch can't always be negotiated. Sometimes it has to be received without calculation. There's a soft ache under your grace, an ache to be touched without conditions. But because your moon equates fairness with safety, you might suppress that ache rather than risk feeling beholden or overwhelmed. You fear that being touched too deeply might place you in emotional debt, that it might tilt the scales. So you keep things even if it means keeping things distant. This isn't superficiality, it's survival. Your Libra moon has been conditioned to believe that to be lovable, you must stay likable, appealing, easy to be with. So you might dress up your discomfort in politeness, even in moments when your body is screaming to be met more honestly. You make it pretty, even when it hurts. But intimacy doesn't have to be performative. It doesn't have to be balanced to be real. You don't have to feel indebted when someone loves you more in one moment. Sometimes allowing the imbalance is the most radical form of equality, because it says, I trust you enough to let the scales tip, knowing they will find their way back. So let yourself receive touch that isn't perfect, that surprises you, that leans more than it should. And let yourself lean back when you're ready, not when the numbers make sense. Whisper, it's hard for me to receive. Or say, I want to feel equal, but I'm scared of being seen as needy. These truths make you more reachable, not less. They invite your partner to hold you, not just as a body, but as a balance in progress. Because when you stop measuring the moment and start feeling it, your Libra moon discovers a new kind of harmony, one not defined by evenness, but by realness. In that space, you find that being touched doesn't just make you feel loved, it makes you feel safe enough to love back, fully, freely, without counting. Intimacy of sensate with moon in Libra, when you want to be perceived beautifully, but fear being misunderstood. For the Libra moon, sensory intimacy is a form of silent agreement, an unspoken contract that says, see me the way I see myself, loving, poised, balanced. You yearn to be perceived with tenderness, elegance, precision. Every look, every tone, every scent carries weight. The way someone speaks your name can either draw you closer or pull you inward into emotional exile. Sensory harmony isn't just pleasant for you, it's essential. You are deeply aware of how others see, hear, and feel you. That awareness can make your presence magnetic, but also fragile. You often tailor your voice, your posture, your expression to reflect what's expected. And while that creates grace, it can also veil your truest self. Because when someone's gaze lingers too long or their tone strikes a wrong chord, your moon doesn't just flinch, it questions your worth. Did I come across wrong? Was I too much or not enough? You long to be savored slowly, to be seen not just for your appearance or charm, but for the subtleties beneath. Yet when sensory attention feels rushed, clumsy, or shallow, you may shrink, not because you lack confidence, but because you feel misread. And for Libra, being misperceived is a form of rupture. You've built so much of your emotional equilibrium on beauty, emotional, visual, tonal, that dissonance feels like betrayal. Still, in your quest for relational beauty, you sometimes hide your rougher textures. You blur your edges to keep things pleasant. You say what sounds good rather than what's raw. You put on perfume even when you want to cry. Because if they smell sadness, what if they step back instead of forward? Your Libra moon doesn't want to risk that, so you refine, soften, curate. But in doing so, you risk starving yourself of intimacy that sees you unfiltered. What you really crave is attunement. A partner who notices the tremble behind your laugh, the quiet shift in your scent when you're anxious, the way your eyes gloss over when you're emotionally full but trying to stay polite. You want to be read intuitively, understood through the senses without having to explain or correct. You want someone to hear the song beneath your silence. To deepen this kind of intimacy, start with your own senses. When you feel the need to smile through discomfort, pause. When you instinctively adjust your voice to match someone else's mood, ask, what tone do I need to hear right now? Let yourself be witnessed in your awkwardness. Let someone touch your wrist when your words have failed you. Let your beauty be more than aesthetic. It can be truth, even when it's messy. And tell your partner the subtle ways to reach you. When you hold eye contact, I feel safe. When your tone drops in sincerity, I believe you. When you mirror my breathing, I know you're with me. These invitations anchor your moon in something real, not just elegant, but honest. Because when you stop performing perfection and allow your senses to become gateways, not filters, you find the intimacy you've always deserved. One that doesn't just admire how you look or sound, but cherishes the soul shimmering quietly beneath. Intimacy of kindness with Moon in Libra. When you want to be loved gently, but feel responsible for keeping everything pleasant. Kindness is the atmosphere your Libra moon breathes. It's not just a nice to have, it's your emotional oxygen. You don't open up in stormy weather. You open up when the room feels soft, when the gaze is warm, when the voice is calm. To you, kindness isn't only about gestures, it's about tone, intention, timing. It's about being approached with grace, not pressure. Because your emotional body recoils from anything that feels rough, impulsive, or careless. You carry a deep sensitivity to interpersonal energy. Even a slight frown or rushed sentence can echo louder than intended. Not because you're fragile, but because you're tuned to the relational field like a violin. And when the harmony is off, your moon feels it in your chest. You may start working overtime to restore balance, diffusing tension, smoothing awkwardness, agreeing when you'd rather protest. You become the diplomat, the peacekeeper, the one who swallows discomfort to maintain grace. But here's the quiet cost. When you're busy ensuring everyone else feels okay, your needs disappear into the background. You give others space to be messy, moody, human, but when it's your turn, you hesitate. What if your sadness disrupts the vibe? What if your anger sounds unkind? So you water yourself down until your presence feels palatable, but your emotions feel invisible. You want to be met with kindness, but you've been taught, perhaps subtly, that kindness means self-erasure. That love is about keeping the room peaceful, not being fully present in it. So even in intimate partnerships, you may resist taking up too much emotional space. You wait for the right time to share. You script your vulnerability. You measure how much of yourself you reveal. And yet, what your Libra moon aches for is a kind of kindness that doesn't demand performance. A kind that holds you even when you're ungraceful, uncertain, unfiltered. A kindness that makes space not just for who you try to be, but who you are in your rawest, least composed form. To deepen this intimacy, you must unlearn the idea that harmony means silence. Real kindness doesn't require you to edit yourself. It invites you to speak even when your voice shakes. To say, I don't know what I need right now, but I want to be met with gentleness. To say, I'm scared to upset you, but I need to be real. And offer kindness to yourself first. When your mind tells you to be polite instead of be honest, pause. When you feel tension rising, don't just smooth it, name it. Let kindness begin with giving yourself space to feel, even if it's inconvenient. even if it messes with the mood, because the truest kindness isn't about keeping things beautiful, it's about making beauty out of truth. Your Libra moon doesn't just want affection. It wants affection that honors your full self, the calm and the chaos, the smile and the silence, the perfectly timed I love you, and the messy, unexpected, can you just hold me please? That's where real balance lives. Not in perfection, in presence, and not in charm, but in care. Intimacy of growth with Moon in Libra. When you want to evolve together but fear outgrowing the equilibrium, your Libra Moon seeks growth that feels mutual, graceful, shared. You don't want to sprint ahead alone or be left behind in someone else's unfolding. You want evolution that looks like a dance, fluid, synchronized, equal in effort. But growth is rarely that tidy. It comes in waves, stumbles, mismatches, and that threatens the one thing your Libra Moon values above all: relational harmony. You long for a partnership where change doesn't feel like separation, where your personal evolution is mirrored, not resisted or resented. But because you measure so much of yourself through the relational lens, your growth often comes with guilt. If you shift, will the relationship tip? If you want more of yourself, of life, will it unbalance the emotional scales you've worked so hard to keep level? You've learned to bend, to accommodate, to make your growth fit inside the contours of what others can accept. You might delay your desires, soften your ambitions, make them more digestible, because the fear isn't just being too much, it's being too different. For your Libra Moon, love is built on mutual reflection. And when you can't see yourself clearly in your partner's gaze anymore, the connection feels at risk. Yet, ironically, what your heart most needs is a love that expands with you. A love that doesn't flinch when you evolve. A love that sees your desire for growth not as threat, but as invitation. And this begins when you stop protecting the relationship from your becoming, when you stop trying to keep it symmetrical at all costs. Growth, after all, isn't always polite. It disturbs, reconfigures, demands space. But your moon must learn that balance isn't the opposite of growth. It's the result of growing well. When each person honors their evolution without making the other responsible for it, new harmony emerges. A deeper, more enduring one. So tell your partner, I'm changing, and I want to bring you with me. Or, I need more room to become who I'm becoming, but that doesn't mean I'm leaving. Say, this next version of me is still tender. I need you to meet it with encouragement, not comparison. These words don't break balance. They strengthen it by making the relationship elastic enough to stretch without snapping. And let go of the idea that evolving means losing love. The right person won't fear your unfolding. They'll be inspired by it. And when your Libra Moon dares to prioritize inner alignment over external agreement, you discover the intimacy you've been aching for, one rooted not in constant mirroring, but in mutual becoming. Because in that space, growth is no longer a deviation from love. It becomes the love itself, a shared unfolding, a balance that breathes. Intimacy of activity with Moon in Libra. When you want shared moments, but worry about disrupting the delicate rhythm between you. Your Libra Moon finds connection through doing things together. Activities are not just tasks or leisure. They are rituals of bonding. Whether it's a quiet walk, a dinner you dress up for, or a shared playlist on a slow afternoon, these moments create the scaffolding of emotional harmony. Your moon thrives when energy is in flow, when effort is mirrored, when being side by side feels natural, not forced. But here's the challenge. You often defer. You accommodate their preferences, their rhythms, their choices. Because discord in activity feels like discord in affection. You might join even when you're tired, agree even when you're unsure, participate even when you'd rather rest. Not because you lack opinions, but because your Libra Moon is deeply sensitive to imbalance, especially in how time and attention are shared. And when they don't offer to join you, in your rhythms, in your interests, you might not protest. You just quietly interpret it as disinterest. You internalize the asymmetry. You wonder if closeness is slipping through unnoticed gaps in shared presence. Because for you, emotional intimacy is often built in these subtle, unspoken alignments. Shared errands, mutual plans, coordinated steps. At your best, you make togetherness beautiful. You elevate ordinary activities into something tender, something considerate. But when this need to harmonize overrides your own impulses, You begin to vanish inside the partnership. You stop inviting, you stop initiating, you stop disrupting. And then one day, you feel far away from someone who never left the room. Your moon doesn't need constant togetherness. It needs chosen togetherness, willing presence, attention offered not out of duty, but desire. And it wants to know that doing things separately doesn't mean growing apart. It means honoring the relationship as two individuals who return to each other by choice. To deepen this intimacy, start with honesty in small moments. Say, I'd love to do this together, but I also want you to enjoy it. Or, it means a lot when we choose things together. It helps me feel aligned. Offer invitations that aren't ultimatums. Give room without retreat. Let your preferences enter the space, even if they create contrast. Because contrast, too, can be beautiful when it's not used to cancel each other out, but to learn each other more fully. And remind yourself, disharmony isn't always danger. Sometimes it's depth. Sometimes it's the necessary stretch that reveals where real resonance lives. Because when you stop managing togetherness like a performance and start treating it as a shared creation, your Libra moon finds something richer than perfect symmetry. It finds participation that's mutual, meaningful, and alive, where every activity becomes not just a thing you do, but a way you say, I'm here, I choose you, and I'm still myself. Intimacy of allowance with Moon in Libra, when you want to be accepted fully, but feel pressured to stay composed all the time. Your Libra moon has spent a lifetime curating harmony. You've learned that love often arrives when you're graceful, pleasant, aligned with the atmosphere. You know how to dress your emotions in charm, to smooth rough edges before anyone notices. And yet, deep down, there's a sacred craving to be loved without refinement, to be allowed your moods, your messiness, your silence, without feeling like you've broken the spell of connection. Allowance, for you, is the most tender kind of intimacy. It says, I won't flinch when you're off balance. It means being permitted to show up not as your polished version, but as your real one, frustrated, tired, ambivalent, late. But this goes against the survival instinct of your Libra moon, which has built emotional safety on being well received. So when your energy shifts, you often rush to rebalance it before anyone else reacts. And that's where exhaustion creeps in. You become the manager of mutual comfort, the one who pivots, who edits, who anticipates. You do it beautifully, but invisibly. And in doing so, you deny yourself the very intimacy you're trying to protect, the kind where your presence doesn't have to be appropriate to be welcome. You may unconsciously fear that if you're inconsistent, you'll be seen as unreliable. That if your mood changes, it will unnerve the other person. So instead of revealing your flux, you conceal it, then feel resentful for not being seen. It's not that you're hiding. It's that you were taught that being pleasing is safer than being real. But your moon needs freedom to shift. Just like the phases in the sky, you too are allowed to wax and wane, to be disappointed without explaining, to feel tender without offering a reason, to not be the diplomat just this once, and to trust that real connection doesn't require constant equilibrium. It requires space for contrast, contradiction, and the full spectrum of you. Let your partner in on this. Say, sometimes I need to not make sense and still feel loved. Or, I've learned to be composed, but what I really want is to be safe being raw. These aren't complaints, they're permissions. They invite the other person to meet you, not just the pleasant version, but the present one, and practice offering this to yourself. When you feel off, don't immediately adjust. Instead, name it gently. I feel uneven today, and that's okay. The more you allow yourself, the more others will learn to follow your lead, not in performance, but in presence. Because allowance is not passivity, it's radical acceptance. And when your Libra moon experiences that, truly, deeply, it begins to relax the endless performance. You start to believe that love doesn't disappear when your mask slips. It might actually begin there. In the moment you stop holding the balance and allow someone to hold you. Intimacy of giving with Moon in Libra. When you love through gesture but fear losing yourself in the exchange. To have a Libra moon is to instinctively give. You give to connect, to soothe, to express love without overwhelming. You offer your presence like a balm, soft, attentive, tailored to the moment. Whether it's planning something beautiful for someone you care about, or shifting your tone so a conversation flows more gently, giving is your first language of love. And yet, behind all that grace, lies a question you often don't ask aloud. Will they give back? Will I still feel like me when I give this much away? You want to offer generously, but not endlessly. Your moon craves reciprocity, not just in actions, but in emotional presence. You don't need to receive the exact thing you give. You need to feel recognized, valued not for how seamless you made things, but for the emotional weight you carry when doing so. Because for you, giving isn't automatic, it's calculated in silence. Will this disrupt the balance? Will this deepen closeness? Or will I become invisible in the effort? There's a part of you that gives, even when tired, that says yes, even when your own needs are calling. Not because you're weak, but because your moon is wired to preserve peace, to smooth friction, to protect connection at all costs. And sometimes those costs are you. When you give from that place, out of duty, fear, or reflex, it doesn't feel generous. It feels draining. It feels like sacrifice dressed in silk. You may not even realize the toll until you're alone, wondering why you feel emptied by a relationship that still looks balanced on the surface. But giving for your Libra moon becomes intimacy only when it's a choice, not an obligation. When it emerges from wholeness, not depletion. And that means reclaiming the right to pause. To say, I want to give, but I also want to be received. Or, sometimes I need you to initiate too. This moon thrives on beauty in exchange. So start practicing visible giving. Give with words. I made this for you because I thought of you. Give with boundaries. I'd love to help, but I need to rest tonight. Give with truth. I sometimes give too quickly because I'm scared the love will fade otherwise. These are still acts of generosity. Just now they include you too. And let others give to you, even when it's imperfect. Don't edit their affection into something more palatable. Receive awkward compliments. Accept the clumsy gesture. Let the balance come not from perfection, but from mutual effort. Because when you give with your full self intact, not polished, not depleted, just present, your Libra moon experiences what it truly longs for, love as a loop. Not performance, not proof, just motion between hearts, effort that doesn't erase, beauty that moves both ways. Intimacy of receiving with moon in Libra. When you crave being chosen, but feel exposed the moment you are. Receiving love may sound like ease, but for your Libra moon, it comes with tension, because to receive is to be seen. And being seen means letting go of control over the image you've so carefully shaped. You've spent a lifetime refining how others experience you. Graceful, pleasant, pleasing. But when someone offers you care without prompting, it can feel startling, disarming, like suddenly being center stage with no script. You want to be chosen. You want love to arrive clearly, cleanly, fully. But when it does, you may quietly brace. You scan the tone, you interpret the motive, you wonder what's expected in return. Not because you don't trust the affection, but because your emotional safety has always been built on reciprocity and polish. And receiving interrupts that choreography. It makes you still, vulnerable, undressed in the eyes of someone who's loving you as you are, not as you've prepared to be. There's a reflex in your Libra moon to pivot. Thank you, but you didn't have to. To shift the spotlight back. To offer something in exchange. Because if you linger too long in the receiving, you fear you'll tip the scales. That love will start to feel uneven, indulgent, maybe even selfish. And nothing unsettles your moon more than the idea of being too much. But here's the truth. Real intimacy often begins at the exact moment you stop giving and let yourself be held. Let someone pour the tea. Let them listen without you curating the room's emotional temperature. Let their hand reach first. Their words arrive clumsily. Their love speak without needing refinement. To your Libra moon, that feels radical, almost rude, but it's necessary. Because only when you allow yourself to receive can you feel the depth of how loved you truly are. Not for your balance, not for your elegance, but for your being. Try letting the affection land before redirecting it. Practice saying, thank you, that meant a lot, without adding a gift in return. Let the warmth settle into your chest. Let the silence after someone's kindness stretch, rather than fill it with a favor or a joke. And if the discomfort rises, speak it. It's hard for me to let in love without offering something back, but I'm learning. That kind of honesty is a gift in itself, one that allows your partner to witness you not as the host of love, but as its recipient. And in doing so, they learn how to care for you without having to earn access. They learn how to stay, because receiving for your Libra moon is not indulgence, it's not imbalance, it's a return to center. It's letting the world love you without condition, without symmetry, without needing to orchestrate the moment, just you in stillness, allowing love to arrive and stay.